I started. So let's restart the stream. Thank you for joining. So the distance between, let's do the distance calculator again. Trying to look up the earthquake, trying to see what town it was near. I think it was let me look up, yeah. History. Earthquakes. Latest earthquakes, okay. Sorry, I didn't get much sleep last night, so my brain is kind of in a fog because I'm sick right now. Thank you for pointing that out. So 1707-48 near Ljubinje. Put in those coordinates. The freaking just, oh God. There we go. Copy. Okay, now let's paste it. All right. Paste. Calculate the distance. So 5,681 miles. 5,681. Took about a little under 30 minutes. Let's then look at the Yellowstone. Okay, so the earthquake occurred here. This is, by the way, not USA. This is Mountain Standard Time, so we have to add 6 hours. This would have been 21. So keep in mind it was 21 when the earthquake hit. Earthquake hit right around here. Local time, so it would have been 07. So it would have been 21:07. So this is when the earthquake hit. Boom. Right around here. Between 7 and 8. So, it occurred, because it's every 15-minute intervals. So that would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 6.5 minutes. This would have been, I think, another 15 minutes right here. So this would have been 15 minutes. And then here you would have had 22:30. See, this is UTC time. Because it was like 21 something when it hit. I mean, it was 21:07. It was 21:07 when it hit. But keep in mind, it was actually 6 hours, not 7. Because right now it's that actually might be right. Because this is Mountain Standard Time. I think this is unadjusted. This is not taking into account the daylight savings time because we moved the clocks forward. So right now it's 6:54, which means UTC time. It is actually 22. So when you subtract 6, it's 22 right now. It's about 20. Yeah, this is about correct. Yep, this is about correct. So it's 21:07 UTC. So yeah, the earthquake struck around here. 21:07 UTC. Though it's saying 22. It's a little bit different. But yes, it struck around 22 according to this one. I think it might be correct. Because the time's a little different in Europe. It's about 7 hours from Naples. But this was 21 according to because 17 minus 4 would have been 20. 17 plus 4 will be 21. Because it was local time in New York. It was New York time when it was 17. So it would have been 15:07 local time in Yellowstone when it struck. So let's try to see that. So again, earthquake struck here. 15:07 local time. So that would have been 30 minutes, would have been here. So it took 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38 minutes to arrive. Wow. Let's do that again. Because keep in mind, it's 15-minute intervals. So it would have struck right here. So, bam, right there. Just want to make sure. Okay. Zoom in a little bit more. So it would have been... So right here, right where... You see the second line here? So, right here, between 7 and 8. So that would have been 15 minutes. From here to here. So it would have been 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24... 25 minutes. It arrived in 25 minutes. The seismic wave arrived in 25 minutes. So very fast. Those seismic waves were propagating pretty quickly. Because sometimes it depends on the depth of the earthquake. Seismic waves can sometimes be really slow, really fast. However, the 6.7 had arrived at, I'm just using this, because it could have even arrived here. It could have arrived at around here, so it could have been even a little bit faster. Maybe it would have been even 26 minutes. Because, so this would have been 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 minutes. Wow. Wow, that would have been definitely fast. 15:07. 15, 16, 20, 21. Yep, see, it arrived. Yep. Okay, so about 22 minutes. That's 60 times 22. 60 times 22. That's 1,320 seconds. So let's calculate the speed, the speed of the seismic wave that propagated to Yellowstone. Or Cody, Wyoming. So this is not, this is very close. So it's similar. So seismic waves, because this is more of a north to south, not an east-west direction. So it should have been around the same time. And I did it from the origin of the earthquake to around Yellowstone National Park. I mean, I could do it to the seismic station itself if they actually let me do a... Looks like there's no location. They don't have a... Let me see if they have a... Yeah. No, it's not the one I was looking at. I was looking, I believe, at this one. That could be the earthquake. No, that's not the earthquake. Definitely not. Okay. But anyway, it was 22 minutes. At, I believe it was 5,681.52 miles. So 5,681.52 miles divided by 1,320 seconds. 4.3 seconds. Seismic wave was traveling at 4.3 miles per second. Very, very fast. Or that's kilometers. Oh, wow. 9143.91. Okay, let's do the math. 22 times 60. So 1,320. Okay. So 9143 divided by 1,320 per kilometer. Wow, 6.92. That's definitely on the top scale. That's actually near the fact. Because when we look at the speed now, let's calculate that again. So it's about 22 to 23 minutes at a rate of... So let's do the mileage. 5,681. 5,681.52 divided by 1,820. So about 4.3 seconds. 4.3 miles per second. And let's look how fast. How fast do seismic waves travel? So, P waves travel per second. See, 3.7 miles per second. Wow. microwaves on surface rock near the about 6.5 miles per second. So it's definitely in that range within 3.7 and 6.5 miles per second. But those are the P waves. And you have the S waves, which are the ones that cause the damage. The P waves are the ones that compress the rock. That would cause the rumbling before the real shaking starts, before the rocking and rolling would start, as you would say. Rock and roll, The rocking and rolling, when you have rolling earthquakes, the rolling, that's usually a thrust fault. A megathrust would cause the rolling, the earth to roll up and down, like side-to-side shaking. That's a strike slip. You would have a side-to-side shaking. You would be thrown from side to side instead of up and down. The rolling, if you ever see waves, so if you ever saw the San Andreas movie, the San Andreas, that actually depicts a megathrust earthquake. Not just the way the shaking occurred, but the way you had a big tsunami that came in near the end of the film. That is what will actually happen to the Pacific Northwest when the Cascadia megathrust ruptures. That's what they can expect. I think they should have made that movie, instead of calling it San Andreas, they could have called it Cascadia. That's what they should have done. They did a realistic scenario just in the wrong location. The San Andreas fault can never have anything greater than an 8.2 because it's a strike slip. Strike slip earthquakes are notorious for having smaller magnitudes but more damage, especially because the sideways shaking can actually be more destructive than the thrust faults, because they're often closer to the surface. Thrust faults are actually often deeper, like 200-300 kilometers. You can have magnitude 9 earthquake that's at 300 kilometers depth. It will feel like a 5 or 6 magnitude at the surface, and will not even cause a tsunami. But if you get a magnitude 9 that occurs right at where the faults meet at the surface, that's when you get tsunamis. That's when you could get buildings collapsing. Like the 9.6 Chilean earthquake was extremely destructive, not just for tsunami, but for the seismic waves it caused. But most of the people who died, even in Chile, died from the tsunami, not from the actual shaking. Strike slip earthquakes, while weaker in magnitude, cause more damage because of the side-to-side shaking. The up and down causes less damage than the side-to-side, which often tear and shear buildings apart. And it's pretty obvious that the quake that happened in Bosnia was a strike slip, because there are numerous strike slips that go off of the subduction zone, that the Eurasian plate diving underneath the African diving underneath the Eurasian. However, it's not called that plate because it's a segment of that fault. The name of the fault is called, I'm trying to look it up. I remembered it, but I'm kind of having brain fog right now, so, because have been not sleeping much due to being sick, the severe pain in my neck. I think it's the Italy subduction zone. There it is. I think the Apennine. It's the Adriatic fault. That's what it's called. That's why you have the volcanoes. You have actually several subduction zones. You have this one. Usually subduction zones, but you see how close the subduction zone is to the volcanoes, because it's subducting very, very sharply. It's what I would call a slab rollback type. Normally, with volcanoes, you would have more shallow subduction. Like even the Cascadia fault subducts pretty sharply, but not too sharp. It subducts. You don't really have a mantle wedge like you did like you would in South America. It actually is causing something known as the the APVB. Magma body, there. The Antiplano Puna magma body. That is caused by a mantle wedge from very steep subduction, just like in Italy. In Italy, they're saying that the Mount Etna volcano, a lot of the basaltic volcanoes in Italy are actually caused by a mantle wedge. Not a mantle plume, a mantle wedge. A mantle wedge occurs when you have very steep subduction, usually a slab rollback, that allows material from the crust, from the lithosphere, and from the mantle to go upwards, because that would cause some rift. You have weakness in the crust. In fact, the Rio Grande rift that you have in the Rockies was actually formed because of slab rollback. You had a very steep, very sharp subduction, and so it allowed a continental rift to occur. In fact, the volcanoes in New Zealand, the Taupo volcanic zone, is one of those slab rollback rifts. And yes, sometimes you can actually create a rift zone that way, a continental rift. And sometimes those rifts could actually create new continents, like what you're having in Africa. While there's no more subduction in Africa, that the rift that was started likely by subduction is still active. It's actually spreading apart, and very likely parts of Africa will become a new like part of a continent. You'll probably have a sea where you're having Lake Victoria in Africa. It's actually created by rifting. Lake Victoria, Tanzania, will actually become it's a future ocean. He just called me. He told me to look at my chat. I think he just raided me. Let me look at my chat. So Lake Tanganyika is actually created by rifting. This is not a river. This is actually a future sea. It's a future sea. Even though it's not connected to the ocean yet, it will very soon, once you meet the ocean, it's going to become a sea. This whole area, Lake Malawi, Lake Tanganyika, Lake Rukwa, all these lakes you're seeing, this is because of the East African Rift. All of this is East African Rift. This may also be as a result of rifting, but this may slightly be different. Anyway, I'm going to look at the chat that Johnny told me about. Johnny, thank you for rating me. This is absolutely amazing. Actually, I might be able to look. I might have to pull down the screen capture. Let's see. Chat enabled. Chat. It's weird. Hey, you're in Bosnia Herzegovina. Just shared the stream. Roof was shaking. Dining place. Wow. Iota. Oh. Scary. Is there a possibility of aftershock? They are actually occurring, but it was a 5.7. So I would not be too concerned about aftershocks. I would be more concerned about the present shock. I mean, yeah, some aftershocks could occur, maybe magnitude 3s to 4s. I would not expect anything above a 5. However, what I am concerned about is that this could be a foreshock. That's my concern. If this is a foreshock, like the Ridgeway earthquake had a foreshock of a 6.7, and I was also concerned about that, then the main shock was a 7.0. And also there was a 7.4 earthquake that occurred a few days in 2011 on March 9th. I was also thinking, okay, this could be a foreshock. I'm a little concerned. And wouldn't you know, I was right, and a 9.0 hit. Thankfully, recently there was a 7.3, but thankfully that was just an aftershock sequence to the 9.0 that hit on March 11, 2011. The 5.7 will likely be the main shock. I hope it is, because this occurred on a strike slip. Your shaking was side to side, if I'm not mistaken, right? Did you have a side to side shaking? Yes, Bosnia and Herzegovina is used to be part of, I believe, Yugoslavia until the late 90s. Bosnia is very seismically active. It's actually one of the most seismically active regions in Europe. Also, like the Albania region, all of former Yugoslavia is extremely seismically active. It's because of the megathrust of the subduction earthquake that occurs in Italy that creates the volcanoes of Vesuvio, Campi Flegrei, Stromboli, and of course some of the other calderic volcanoes near Rome as well. Those volcanoes are likely dormant, but not extinct. Because some volcanoes in Italy have been considered extinct, but I would not consider them extinct, but dormant. However, Eastern Europe, like the Balkans, I would not ever see volcanoes there because it's subducting westward. The plate is subducting toward west, where you're going to have the volcanoes in Europe. However, there are those regional faults in the former Yugoslavia region, Bosnia, Albania, and Serbia too. So those areas are very seismically active. I wasn't able to tell in the moment tensor what earthquake it was, because that usually only occurs on USGS quakes, or if they share information. I'm going to check right now on the moment tensor what type of earthquake it was. So I'm going to go back to screen sharing. All right. Let's see. The Bosnian earthquake, the earthquake in Bosnia was... Let me check. Please give me a moment tensor. Yep. Wow. It was a thrust quake. So rolling. Wow. You probably had rolling. It probably felt like you were... it didn't feel like a side to side. I believe it felt like more like a rolling motion. Yes, that is actually the subduction quake. What you had was actually the subduction of the African plate underneath the European plate. That's actually what forms the volcanoes in Italy. What you just had is a subduction earthquake. You had a megathrust earthquake, a 5.7. Wow. This might be a foreshock. Usually megathrust earthquakes are much stronger than strike slip. So you might have a larger earthquake. This is a thrust. This is a megathrust earthquake. This could be a regional thrust, but this looks more like, because I do see some semblance of, but it definitely is a thrust quake. Definitely thrust. 365 felt reports. Felt reports. Let's see when they happen. You can actually go on this website. Go to usgs.gov/earthquakes and mention what you felt and what time it happened. If you felt it, please mention it. So I'm going to post a link in the description. Right now I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel. Shut off as soon as the screen cuts off. The screen recording ends. So basically, let me go back and explain what I was talking about. So you had a slab rollback. This happened in North America, but it's also happening in South America right now. Maybe also happening in Italy, from what I understand. Slab rollback, Italy. Etna. Yep. That's what's occurring. You got Etna is 100% subduction related. But the problem is, the reason you have such high basaltic volcanoes, why you're having such low silica and olivine volcanoes, as if you're on a hot spot or a divergent plane boundary, is because a lot of material is coming in very deep from below. Instead of having subductive melt because of water the water being evaporated and changing the chemistry of the rocks, what is going on, you're having that melt in addition to having material coming from deeper in the wedge from the mantle, which is causing some, like a back arc basin, like what is happening in New Zealand. So you're having basically an overlap, like with a back arc basin and subduction volcanism. So it's like, and so it's subducting, so the mantle wedge is going to an area where you would normally have volcanoes with regular subduction. So you would get extra volcanism. And if you're getting this in a high silica environment, you would quickly transition from basaltic to trachyte to rhyolitic volcanoes, like Lake Taupo, like the Cerro Blanco volcanoes. You would have a lot of andesitic melt too, because that volcanism in South America, the Altiplano Puna magma basin, is subduction based. You're having normal subduction. While it is subducting very quickly and deep, it's that you're getting most of the melt because of how fast it's subducting. It's generating more material quickly. So that's why it's andesitic and dacitic and rhyolitic melt instead of basaltic. And also you're having very high silica environment in the Andes in South America. That's why you're having volcanoes like Onturuncu, or Chiatin volcanoes. There's this volcano called Chiatin, which is a rhyolitic lava dome in Chile. And you're also having another volcano in the southern tip of Bolivia called Untitled, which is having a Sombrera type uplift. Very slow. It was 10 millimeters a year, like at Campi Flegrei, but it's slowed to about 4 to 5 millimeters a year, and they're saying it could reverse. Hopefully it doesn't erupt, but there's a lot of... but the whole region around the volcano was uplifted, not just the volcano, but the surrounding region as well. And there's also a lot of fumarolic activity at the volcano, even though it had not erupted in 200,000 years. They found evidence that the last eruption was over 200,000 years ago. The name of the volcano is called Uturuncu. It's a Uturuncu. I wouldn't call it a super volcano because it never had a super volcanic eruption before. It's a stratovolcano with lava dome complexes. And lava flows to 50 to 85 cubic kilometers. It bears traces of a former glaciation, though it does not carry glaciers. Wow, no glaciers despite being so high up. Of course, it's in a very tropical environment, but still. It's very close to the equator, and that's why it doesn't have glaciers. Even though it's so high up, it's also in an area that doesn't get much rainfall. It's in a... So that lake to the north is Lake Titicaca, which is the largest lake in the world. For that size of lake, it's the highest lake in the world. It's not the highest lake, but it's the highest lake basin. Of that size, it's like the highest navigable lake. Yep, that's what it's called, highest navigable lake. It is at over 10,000 feet tall. And yes, sometimes on rare occasions it does snow there. You could even see the snow in the background. Anyway, I have to go now. Yeah, my stepfather was just basically bitching me out that I have to go. I gotta go. Peace. Thank you. Thank you so much, Miota. Thank you. Stay safe. I would not actually, just before I end the stream, just make sure you don't, I would move anything off the shelves just to be sure, because even though you're not on that subduction zone, you are on a thrust fault. And that's a little concerning. Sometimes thrust quakes could be a little larger, but maybe it is decreasing with frequency, so that's good. But just be on the safe side for the next couple days. Peace.